Good afternoon and welcome. It's the Joel and Natalie Show. We're live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio here at 5th and State, also live on YouTube and on Facebook. We're having a critical conversation that Erie needs to have, and I want to welcome back to our studio Cindy Spizarny. She's the president and CEO of WQLN Public Media. Good to see you, Cindy.
Good to see you, Joel. Thanks for having us back.
And Allison Amendola, she's vice president at the firm.
Yep. That's me.
They call it the firm.
We're happy to be back.
Thank you so
Joel.
much. All right. So I appreciate you guys joining us here. And let's review for the public's information what exactly has happened. And you kind of name all the players, the Corporation of Public Broadcasting, PBS, NPR. We get them all mixed up. And what exactly happened with the feds and all these concerns, including what is it? Public Broadcasting for Northwest Pennsylvania is your corporation, right? Correct. So go ahead, Allison. You want to start?
Sure. So as a recap, in 1967, President Johnson created the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which would funnel federal funding down to the local stations. So fast forward to 2025. That has been happening since 1967, close to 60 years. WQLN has been a beneficiary of federal funding. The Corporation for Public Broadcasting is just the organization that funnels the federal funding down to 1,500 local stations all across the country, in addition to NPR and PBS. Now, NPR only got 1% of federal funding. PBS got 15% of federal funding. So 1,500 stations across the country shared in about 70% of funding. And of course, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting got funding so they could fund themselves.
Right.
So all that federal funding went away as of July 18th of this year. It was debated back and forth in the House and in the Senate, and ultimately it was decided that they would no longer provide federal funding to public media. So that means the end of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting at the end of September, because they no longer have a job, so to speak.
So again, people need to understand that this was not pulling it from a budget like the 2026 budget. This was rescinding, right? Is that
exactly
because this was appropriated 2 years ago.
Exactly.
They were always rolling 2 years in advance.
Right. So it affected our fiscal year in 26 and will affect fiscal year 27. So you're exactly right. They rescinded funding that was appropriated 2 years ahead.
Yeah. How much did that amount to for a single year? What did that come to?
For WQLN, it's $1.2 million of our budget, our annual budget, which is 40% of our budget.
40%. And how much nationally did that amount to? Was it over 500 million? Is that correct?
It was $1 billion.
Oh, it was $1 billion. Wow. Yeah. That got rescinded. Okay.
And for sake of numbers, Joel, too, I'll add that there's 1,500 local stations that got affected, in addition to NPR and PBS. But there are 115 of us that relied on that funding to the tune of 30% or higher. So there's, a bunch of stations out there similar to WQLN that are in the situation that we are, that relied on the federal funding for the past 60 years. And now we're facing, an uphill financial challenge.
So just to make it understandable, kind of the bigs they didn't get bigger, but they were just not nearly as impacted by this funding source as the smalls. For example, WHYY, which is the public station of record for Philadelphia, this amounted to what, 2 or 3% of their budget, right, Cindy?
Yeah, it wasn't much, maybe 4%.
Maybe 4%.
On a $60 million station, it's not much.
Same thing with WQED in Pittsburgh. I mean, again, they have other funding streams. They're a program producer, and so it just didn't amount as much as it did for probably the State College station and the Erie station, maybe even the Scranton Wilkes-Barre station, right? I mean,
and it's, you can look at it a couple different ways, but one of the ways that we look at it was that in a market this size, we rely on the $60 member, the $120 member. 75 to 80% of our members or donors lie between $25 and definitely $1,000, $1,500 or so. So that's what the premise of public broadcasting was set to do, is to create this organization, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, that would distribute funds to local public media stations, and we could provide local programming to people all across the region, no matter their zip code.
Yeah. The one of the big pushbacks that is in the narrative is that, well, they could just raise this gap themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's 40% is a lot to raise. I
40%.
mean, $1.2 million.
Yep. In Erie, Pennsylvania, it's going to be hard to do.
What do you typically raise? Can you really reveal that? As far as rank and file, not including grant announcements?
Oh gosh.
You mean in membership dollars?
Yeah, membership dollars.
Probably about $950,000 a year.
So you do that. You do a pretty good
it's
chunk.
about 30, Cindy, 37, 38%
right,
of our
of our
budget.
budget.
So you would have to
support.
double it
We would.
to cover this.
And let's be clear, 1.2 million is just not attainable.
Right.
Year after year. Even 1 year, if we got hit and it was 1.2 million, we'd really have to look at things the way that we're looking at them now. But you kind of say, okay, if we can survive, this wave, that's good. We move on. But this is a perpetual loss.
Yeah.
So this is something that we've really had to dig into, that we have been looking at for the past year. So it's nothing that was knee-jerked. We've been watching things very closely for the past year, especially when the Corporation for Public Broadcasting was mentioned in Project 2025. And we started to hear some rumblings of some different bills that were being brought forward to defund. So it's nothing that we were sleeping on, and all of a sudden this was a surprise. It's an unfortunate situation to be in, but at least we started working on it about a year ago. It doesn't make it.
So you kind of had a feeling a year ago.
We
Wow.
did. Yeah.
What are you hearing from and I think I asked you this last time, but what are the legislators saying? What's Mike Kelly saying? What's John Fetterman gosh, losing my brain. The other senator,
Right.
Dave McCormick. Excuse
and-
me, golly.
And I can't speak for them. I can't speak for their offices. I think
Have you had any official statements from them?
No, we haven't.
What about Pennsylvania at a state
The
level?
bigger stations have talked to them.
The bigger
Yeah.
stations.
But
Well, do you have a PPTV anymore or no?
PPTN, no.
PPTN?
That was dissolved.
That doesn't
Yep,
exist.
does not exist.
So you don't really have like a lobbying group.
We
that
do have
way.
a state lobbying group and a federal lobbying group.
You do?
Yeah. Our federal lobbying group is APTS, American
Okay.
Public Television Stations. but
Sure.
They lobby for everybody across the country, so.
So no official word, no casual conversation with our congressman or something.
We
like that.
haven't, and I can't speak for their offices, but I think the narrative early on, for those who didn't want to fund the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, was laying it more on NPR and PBS. We do supply NPR radio programming, and we do share PBS programming, but that is just a small portion or a partial portion of our programming, our vast programming. We like to focus on our local radio hosts and Masterpiece and some of the other programs that we have. Of course, Chronicles was such a huge
Sure.
hit for us the past 3 seasons. So I think that it became a very polarizing issue. It became a very divided issue. And I think some of us local stations were really trying to get our voice out there to say, hey, look, when you cut from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, NPR is going to be okay. They lost 1%. PBS is going to be okay. But it's stations like ours who relied on that funding to deliver the quality program, and that we do, that really hurt the most.
Do you feel like you kind of got victimized by some of the stances and some of the testimony of these CEOs of NPR and PBS? I mean, there's a huge narrative about that CEO of NPR. I mean, she did not go over really well.
Well, I give both of those ladies credit to be able to sit
Okay.
there and to take all the questions that they did. I think they answered things to the best of their ability. I think that they really portrayed a great image for public media as a whole. Those hearings, Joel, to be honest, they're just kind of like a
It's
circus
show. It's a
a little
circus
bit.
show, yeah.
So I really give them credit for doing their homework and going in and defending public media, both radio and TV, the way that they did.
Yeah. But I mean, it sometimes it only takes moments like that to to impact a vote, doesn't
Right.
it? I mean,
Yeah. I think a lot of them had their mind made up before the hearing even
Right.
took place. So
because on the positive end, you go back to 67 or 65 when you had Fred Rogers in front
Yeah.
of, you played that as part of Chronicles on that
Sure.
media
Yeah.
episode, which was so cool,
That's
by the way.
amazing,
But literally, he got the 15 million at the time
yep,
to start, the CPB.
he did. Who can turn down Fred Rogers?
Right.
He certainly was the
Yeah.
voice in the
He
face
was.
of public media
Yeah.
for a very long time.
Amazing.
And we definitely still pride ourselves on the kids programming that we provide, and the educational programs that our department goes into the inner cities and brings those PBS materials out. So it is definitely a different time in 2025.
Right.
And one soundbite can be heard around the world, certainly. But I think under those circumstances, both ladies did the best that they can, and they know their product. They know public media, especially Paula Kerger. My goodness, at PBS. I mean, she just did a phenomenal job.
Well, and I think about what's coming up, even just this fall with the new Ken Burns series, and going into the America 250.
Yep, that's gonna be
There's
huge.
going to be it's going to be a big deal, right? I mean,
It is. Yeah.
between the history, between the
Oh,
arts,
yeah.
and so on, everybody's going to be thinking that it'll just go without a beat, but you probably have we'll have to determine something different here. Do you feel like that PBS is going to make changes on, and NPR make changes on how this funding structure works? Will there be an alternate funding structure? Because up until now,
Right.
the stations buy the programming, right? They pay the programming license fee to play it.
Right.
If the station, if the little guys can't pay it, what do you do?
Well, a lot of them are going to close, but I think NPR.
A lot of the shows will close, or the
A lot of
stations?
the stations will close. The smaller stations. There's
Wow.
going to be a lot that probably do not make it, unfortunately. That are a lot smaller than we are. I know PBS and NPR has looked at fiscal 26 dues, and they have given the stations a reduction. Both of them have. So it's a 1-year reduction. So, I mean, we'll take everything we can get.
Sure.
But they also are both revising their due structures for the future. So they have to make changes if they want the programming out there across the country.
Talking to Cindy and Allison here from WQLN. We're going to take our first break. Back in just a little bit. It's Talk Erie at 4:19. It's Tuck Erie and the Joel Natale Show. We're getting an update from our friends from WQLN, and let's continue on with this thing. You folks, we kind of established that PBS and NPR should be okay after the funding cuts, but it really is going to make an impact on WQLN and the other smaller stations across the board. One of the things that you have decided to look at as a mitigating factor is actually selling your building.
Correct.
All right. So what are you hearing from the realtors about the commercial building market, especially outside the center core here?
I think, we haven't heard a lot. I think it's just a matter of somebody needing that kind of a space. It's a 30,000 square foot building.
It's a big one.
There's only 20 of us in the building right now, so it's much beyond our needs. But it's a unique building. I think would be perfect for like a medical office. It's in different pods. I don't know if you've ever been in our building.
Yeah, sure. Many
we
times.
have different pods, We do have a studio that would go along with it, and then we have a back spot that's just like empty warehouse space. So, I mean, I think it's, I think they were mentioning corporate offices for, an organization or another nonprofit that, wants to consolidate everybody together type of thing. But, I mean, it's off the beaten path. It's secluded back there. So,
Right.
There's
You
not
had a
much
couple tenants. Are they still there?
We do. We have one tenant right now.
Okay, one.
Yeah,
All
they're
right.
still with us. They're going
Gotcha.
to hang on till the end, so we sell. But, I mean, they also told us realistically it takes 6 months to 2 years to sell it.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not something that we're going to find a buyer tomorrow.
Right. And again, that if let's say you got $1.2 million for that building, and I don't know if that's lowballing or highballing, but
Yeah.
because I'm not a real estate guy, but that might cover 1 year of your shortage.
Right, absolutely. That's the intent of selling the building. It's much too big for us, obviously. The expenses, you still have overhead on the building.
Right. And you guys would move kit and caboodle, or?
We would move kit and caboodle.
Wow.
We're working on some spot. We'd actually like to move downtown
Oh, that'd be
to
cool.
be part of our production team and is excited to move
I wish I
downtown.
could share space, but we're real small here.
But no,
Big stack of equipment. Yeah.
but no, we have a lot of stuff. I will say
Right.
that. But we've started consolidating and recycling some old equipment that just have sat there for 40 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
It is causing to confront things that have been kind of backburnered for a
Absolutely,
while,
yeah.
huh?
Absolutely, we've had closets that have where old equipment goes to die. So
Right.
clean those closets.
Those
out.
cart machines
Yeah.
back,
Oh my
or
gosh.
CD players,
Yeah,
right?
we still have them.
I
So
learned on a cart
you
machine.
need anything?
Do you remember the cart machines?
Of
Alice?
course I do.
Yes.
Back timing and cart machines. I'm that old.
You-
I certainly do.
Oh my gosh. So again, there will be real impact on programming on the listener. What can well tell me?
Not. I mean, I
Make
don't think.
me-
I don't think
make
right
me
now
I'm
there's
wrong.
going to be real impact right now. I mean,
Okay.
we're looking at changing some of the radio programs that we do. Brian Hanna is our classical music host, and he's working with Allie and I to try and figure out, are there programs that cost us money now that we can replace with similar programs that are free through the system. There are, through PRX or some other avenues to get programming. Seeing if there's another local host that wants to volunteer and do a program. So we're looking at everything. So, I mean, I don't think our program's going to be impacted.
Some of your evening
much right now.
programmers are volunteers, aren't
They're all
they?
volunteers.
Like Rob Hoff.
Rob Hoff Rob Hoff has been there 53 years.
Oh my gosh.
Doing a
Wow,
program
that's
4 days a
amazing.
week, a 2-hour program. So
Yeah, talk about the heart and soul of
Yeah.
WQLN. He really is.
That's
Gary
really
Finney
remarkable.
and Al Lubajeski, and they've been there for years. So without them, just think what our expense would be if we had to replace their program with a program that costs money.
I remember years ago, Marketplace came off because it was expensive.
It is still expensive.
And then it came back on because you found a funder or something
Right.
like that. How often, or I shouldn't say how easy, but is it a possibility that some of these things can get underwritten by grant announcements, grant sponsors, and things?
Absolutely. I mean, if anyone wants to underwrite a program, call the station. Absolutely.
Who's the point person doing
Mary
that?
Timoshenko?
Oh,
Mary.
Mary T.
Mary T. So
Yes.
that's absolutely reality. So But you're right, we did take Marketplace off because it got to be really expensive. You know, I think it's like $13,000 a year for Marketplace. So we did put it back on because we did get a sponsor or an underwriter, and then that went away, and people love the program, so we have kept it.
Kind of grinding it out.
So
That's tough for a general manager, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, those are the kinds of decisions like, how do you balance this whole thing?
yeah, you don't know what people like. You know, a lot of people.
And that's in the context of having federal funding.
Correct.
You had to make those kind of decisions.
Yes. Yeah, we've always been a lean station. You know, like I said, we only have 20 employees who do.
Right.
We all do something different. You know, there's not overlap in any department. So if someone's not here, that job doesn't really get done for that day. So, I mean, we really don't have a lot of any kind of fluff in anything. So
What's your electric bill like? Again, give the listener an idea.
our electric bill is $12,000 a month to run the station. So run the electricity up that tower. So.
Right. Again, you're not going to hear that from the commercial stations. That's proprietary information.
Not proprietary.
But this is a nonprofit.
That's right.
I mean, it is a community,
It's a community
television and radio station.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to keep it. We want to keep it locally owned and operated. That's our goal. Number one. So
The Chronicles was funded, right? But it's coming off the air. Why?
well, it was a 3-year funding deal, so it
Okay.
ended officially June 30th. But Mike Berlin and Kenneth Stevens are working on the 2 final episodes. One is Mark Brown,
Oh, good.
who's beloved author of Arthur from
Arthur.
Erie, and the other is going to be a 3-part episode on Tom Ridge.
Fantastic. So those are coming still.
Those are coming still.
All right. And they're covered funding wise?
We're good with those.
Terrific.
So yeah, but those are going to be some great episodes. The Tom Ridge one especially. You know.
Has that always been the thing, whether it's local news or, buying that expensive program, people think that you could just go, well, I see it on the comment section. Well, they just can sell ads or sell grant announcements. It's not as easy as people just say it is.
No, it's not. I mean, it's not easy. We can't sell ads. We do underwriting, corporate underwriting, which, we can't have any call to action. The FCC regulates it even more now than ever. So it's not as easy as you think. But that's what Mary T is out there pounding the pavement trying to find, corporate sponsors for us. Once in a while we'll do a corporate buy from Pennsylvania all around the state. So we've talked about that on some of my recent calls too, on getting into some more corporate underwriting together, because everybody across the state is struggling with underwriting,
Are they really? Yeah.
not just us.
The Ford Foundation doesn't have unlimited resources.
never
What are some of the Rockefeller? You see all these
see
names,
all the big names, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Ford and Rockefeller and
But
yeah.
all those.
You see them when you do watch PBS. We've all
right.
grown up with that, seeing these sponsors and different underwriters. But Mary absolutely does a great job. She does the best that she can.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot to offer. So that is one avenue of revenue.
We're going to take a break at the bottom of the hour. We're talking to our friends from WQLN who are giving us an update after the rescinding of federal funding. Back after this. You've got Talk Erie on your radio at 105.9, 103.3 AM 1530. We're also live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio on YouTube and Facebook. We're getting an update on WQLN Public Media. Cindy Spizarny, Allison Amendola are with us here. And let's talk about mitigation, all right? Again, the funding has been pulled for 2026. We're talking about $1.2 million or 40% of your budget. That's devastating. How much can you make up of that in cuts, and then how much do you have to do in additional revenue? There's only two ways to kind of skin a cat, right?
That's right.
Yeah, we don't skin cats around here because Cheney likes cats. But anyway.
Oh, yeah, we don't either. Either increase revenue or reduce expenses.
Exactly. Short-term goals. What are you thinking here? What?
Well, the reality is we have to decrease expenses before we
Right.
can sit there and say, okay, we're going to have a revenue goal. Obviously, public media is known for our pledge drives. We're known for, relying on that kind of member support to help fund public media. But like Cindy said earlier, we don't have a lot of fluff. Nobody gets into the public media business and they're, making a lot of money. What comes in goes out because we have to pay for program, we have to pay for personnel, there's insurances, there's electricity, and all those kind of brick and mortar type things that go into running public media. But we are certainly looking at everything. Like I said earlier, we've been thinking about contingency plans for a year. Selling the building has come up in several conversations until we finally decided it was a necessity. Like Cindy said earlier, it is a 30,000 square foot building. We don't need it. So it's easier to talk about because I talk about it on a daily basis, but there's a lot of emotional thought that goes into that. We know it's
Sure.
going to affect the many people that have worked at WQLN, the many volunteers that we have, the team members that we have now, most of which have been there over 10 years. Even though I've only been an employee of WQLN for 2 years, I have volunteered for 30 years. So I have been in that building for, over 30
You start
years
thinking
myself.
about how can you pull the auction off
Right.
without the big warehouse, right?
But then the
and all
flip
that.
side is, it is 2025. We need to look at everything that we do, right down to the operations differently. We know that there's some duties that can be done remotely if it comes to that. If we have to divide and conquer the situation, we will. We will look for broadcast space over here. We will look for admin space over here. And then maybe there's a remote situation for a few of the employees. So right now we're looking at the big picture things that we can cut, but that doesn't mean that we're not looking at small things. Anything that is a variable, anything that can be movable is being moved, from, advertising contracts to, we're looking at, we used to put out a printed program guide every month, and yet we supply that online as well. And I know that there's a lot of members who rely on that, and but they can find that online. So there are just some decisions that we have done for decades that we have to look at differently and not do in the same way.
Even if you provided it as a print ready PDF,
Right.
that would
Sure.
be half the battle, right?
Yeah.
I
Yep.
mean, sorry, we can't give you the ink and paper and the
Right.
postage, which
Yeah.
is the highest amount.
Yeah.
But you can print this out yourself and it'll look exactly the same.
So there's not a clear, checks and balances when it comes to revenue and expense right now, because there are still so many things up in the air. Like Cindy said, NPR and PBS have offered us a decrease in dues for the first year. But we know there's also chatter out there about some large foundations coming to the aid of public media across the country that PBS in particular is working on. So maybe we'll see some relief funds coming, emergency funds coming on the revenue side. But right now we're just looking at all the expenses that we can. And I will admit there's quite a few we can't move, unless, say, the building gets sold. If the building is sold, our electricity goes down. So every action that we have has a reaction to it.
Talk about state and local funding sources, and we'll talk about Erie Gives in just a second here. But I remember years ago when they were bringing up the Gaming Revenue Authority. WQLN was trying to be a lead asset.
Right.
Did you eventually become one?
No.
You're still not a
We're
lead
still not
asset.
a lead asset, a community asset, no. So, I mean, we do apply to ECRA and get, grant funding through them and the Erie Community Foundation, but we are not a lead asset. So no, we don't get funding from them consistently.
Yeah, it makes you want, I know the zoo is a lead asset for sure, and many other, the Phil and the Playhouse and so on. It kind of begs the question whether, if again, times have changed, 15, 20 years later, could that come under consideration,
Yeah.
Do you ever get any sense too that, a lot of these policies have had blowback and then they've kind of eased back in? Again, you're not hearing from the legislators about, opportunities, are you?
No, but I will tell you that when we were fighting to keep the funding for public media, they certainly heard from constituents,
Right.
all across the country. We're talking millions of phone calls and emails to those offices. So I guess it's we can't wait and see what's going to happen at midterms or what's going to happen in 4 years. So we need to protect WQLN as best we can now. We need to do our due diligence first and look at all of our expenses. Anything that we can pare down, we will.
Can I ask you about, again, a strategy that a lot of other stations have taken, whether it's Nexstar or Lily or something like that, where they're sharing things like master control and they're investing in automation and things where they're running 17 stations out of one facility. Do you see that would be an opportunity? Again, that means job losses.
Correct.
Yet it could mean lower
Cost savings.
costs, for the operation of a television or radio station.
Well, our master control is already automated, so
Okay.
it's automated, so we don't have that. But
You don't have a human necessarily
no, we don't
back
have anybody there.
Okay.
Yeah, 24/7. So what we are looking at shared expenses with the Pennsylvania stations. I was on a call for 2 hours last week, and we went through, because a lot of them are in the same boat we are. So we're looking at opportunities, to see if it makes sense for us. I mean, anything from, grouping together to get health insurance to, programming to traffic. We're all in the same boat. We all do the same thing, and there's no reason why we can't do things out of different stations. We're just exploring every idea. So, I mean, we have a huge list to go through and vet and see what, if anything comes out of it. But, like Allison said, we have to look at everything. We don't have a big expense to say, oh, we'll just get rid of that. I mean, there's not any fluff. And, our biggest expense are programming and, our utility bill and our tower rent. So that's about what we spend all of our money on.
So that's what you're attacking right now.
And personnel, quite frankly, is about the last thing we want to look at.
Sure.
Because as a dual licensee station, we have a radio side and we have a TV side. And on the radio side, we have Brian Hanna. We love him. But we have Brian Hanna, volunteer host and programming, et cetera, et cetera. But there's so much outreach that we do in the community that we know how valuable our team members are at WQLN, and they put their heart into it. Like I said earlier, majority of them have been there over 10 years and have stayed at this nonprofit organization. They have weathered other storms. So the last thing we want to do is look at personnel, because once you lose a position, you don't get that back. Right. And so while it might be a short-term remedy while we are looking at shared services, but once you lose somebody who is a valuable member of your team, you don't get it back. So we want to be very careful when we definitely look at personnel.
The other thing that occurs to me, it's 1.2 million sounds like a lot, especially when it's 40% of your budget, but in reality, it is, I mean, I'm used to talking to people that run half $1 billion counties and $110 million cities. Right. I think Mill Creek Township $60 million or something like that. In the end, you would think that maybe there could be enough local funding or state level funding that to even get you halfway there, get you $600,000. I mean, are you hearing any rumblings or that kind of thing?
Speaking of state, we were taken out of the state budget, so we're going to lose that money too, on top of the 1.2 million.
I thought it was already gone a long time ago.
No, we got back 125 a year.
You did?
Yes.
And that's going away now.
It's going away too. So we're out of that budget too for this year. So, I mean, it's in comparison to the 1.2 million, it's nothing, but for us, it's a lot.
That's a human.
Yep.
That's a salary,
That's
right?
many salaries at WQLN. So, you know what I mean? So, I mean, we're looking like.
How do you stay optimistic?
You've
got this 50, 60-year-old entity here.
Yeah.
because it means that much, and it means that much to the community. And I say this because sometimes I'll wake up and come into work and go, oh, what do we have on the plate today? But at the same time, when you work for a mission that provides a service to the community, and every single person has access to that service, then you put your pants on and your shirt on and you go to work and you dig in and you do the best that you can. Certainly the fight isn't over. We saw that in the past months of the amount of gifts that have come in from people outside of the state, from the amount of people who have called who say, I can't give a lot, but I want to give something. Those are the kind of people that public media touches. So until there is a time where we can no longer do what we do, we will fight day in and day out. Corporate support has also been very generous the past 50 years. So I think that they will step up as well. Private support, we have heard from other donors wanting to put match dollars up. So I think that revenue-wise, we're seeing an increase in that. And if we continue to chip away at the expenses, we will see an increase in revenue and hopefully somewhere meet in the middle.
That's a good segue into talking about Erie Gives and Crawford Gives. Those are a few good days for you guys, wasn't it?
Amazing days for us. Erie Gives was great. I mean, usually the last 15 years we've received about $70,000 to $75,000. So this year we received over $207,000.
Oh my word! Wow.
So
that's legit.
And the number of gifts, usually we receive about 400, 425, and we were well over 1,200 gifts. So the community spoke and just confirmed to us the importance of WQLN in Erie. So I mean, we're grateful, we're thankful, we're overwhelmed with their support, and we thank them. It was very heartwarming to watch the numbers go up.
How do you get that $25 or $50 one-timer converted over to, a passport subscriber or something like that?
Yeah, we talk about that a lot. I mean, and I think that's, like we said before, our basic membership's $60. So if someone gives $50, we like to reach out to them and say, for $10 more, you can become a member and receive the member benefits, including passports. So just a staffing issue at this point, trying to get somebody to call, all the people that are involved in it. But yeah, I mean, it was great. Even Crawford County Gives. I mean, we had over $10,000. Last year.
That's
I think
awesome.
We were 6.
That is phenomenal.
We were over
6 last year. Double the donors in Crawford County. They're quite generous. Even the people who found us, who live outside of Erie on Erie Gives, just found us.
Neat.
So it's remarkable. So it was a very good day. I can tell you some tears were shed. And also from just people who called or the comments that were made about it. And it seemed like the whole community was rallying for us.
Right.
There's so many organizations, over 500 organizations participated in that. And but to be able to be in the top 10, and like Cindy said, to have over 1,200 donors, you could just feel that community spirit. And we appreciate it so much.
That's terrific. Part of your ID on television is Erie, London, and the narrative has been out there. Well, all the rich people in London, Ontario, will pay for QLN because even though they don't get the tax deduction from it. Do you get much help from our London friends?
We don't. In years past, we did. We used to have about 2,500 members in London.
Wow.
And now we're about 230.
What happened?
Well, there's a couple things. We're not on the HD tier over there, so there's other stations they can pick up, the Buffalo station or the Seattle station. So I think that's part of it. And we don't do a lot over there anymore. It's hard to get there. I mean, if you could take a boat, you could get there quick. But if not, it's a 5.5 hour trip around, to
around
get over
the
there.
horn,
And we used to have an underwriter over there who he had a marketing firm over there, and he would go out and underwrite for us. So, and he's since retired, and so that has pretty much dried up. So we do have some strong supporters over there, but it's not like it used to be. And they were more, I remember doing TV pledge drives 15 years ago, where we would answer phones at night and they would be the ones to call. They were more transactional. They were looking to buy the CD or the, more than, doing it, for the right reasons, or just to pledge.
Yeah, they wanted
they wanted something out
the
of
David
it,
Foster video.
I don't. Yeah, they basically it's all TV over there for us. So I mean, a few of them can get the radio signal,
Right.
but depends on which way the wind blows for the day. So
Yeah, you can't.
you can't get
you're
over
fighting.
there.
You're fighting the thermal inversion over the lake. I know all about that. We were getting pounded today. So, all in all, again, you're almost doing crisis management at this point a little bit. Although it's been kind of like it's a slow moving tsunami
Right.
that you've been facing. You knew that something was up even a year ago before even the election. It sounds like because there had been multiple threats. I mean, I've been hearing it for at least a decade or more.
For sure.
Yep.
And that's why it's kind of surprising that it actually went to zero. That it wasn't mitigated somehow, or we're going to slap them on the wrist. I mean, just trying to figure out the motivation of it all.
Yeah.
Every administration that comes in at the federal level, there's been threats and have said, well, and they have a budget that they need to pass. I get it. And there's organizations vying for all kinds of dollars, but we have always made it through. Corporation for Public Broadcasting and PBS and NPR have always made a very successful case to support public media. So you're right. Even though we thought it was a threat, we've been keeping an eye on it, but to actually sit there, back in July and see your funding go away, all the things that we have thought about, all the ways that we thought that we could tackle this, some are moving forward, but some we have to throw out the window and go, okay, we need to start again. That's not going to work. So when push comes to shove, it is an extremely difficult situation. It's a difficult situation to lose the money in this fiscal year.
Yeah.
So we're already, July 1, we already knew we may not get this money. July 18th, we knew for sure we are not going to get this money. So had it happened next year or something, there might be a little bit more prep. But when you lose it in the fiscal year that you're actively in, makes it even more difficult.
Yeah, you're running from July to June 30th, and this will dry up on September 30th, 31st, right?
Well, it is already
It's already
dry.
done.
It's
It's over.
Yeah.
Talk to that listener that, what, I love PBS, I love NPR, give me more, wait, don't tell me, give me, give me more Sesame Street and whatever else is on these days. But they might have sent you, like I said, they might have sent you $25-$50 at Erie Gives. What can they do? Let's empower the viewers and the listeners a second here. What would you encourage them to do?
Become a member. That's the first thing I would encourage them to do. If you're not, the easiest way to support is to become a member. Whether you pledge during a fall pledge drive or our radio drive is going to start in mid-October. So if you want to, make a donation then. But the easiest way is just to become a member. Become a sustaining member is even better because a sustaining member gives a set amount each month. So we know the money that's coming in from the sustainer. So it's not a guessing game of who's going to give this month and who's not. So you can donate a vehicle. We have a vehicle donation program. Really easy. Call the 800 number. They take it from there. They come.
They will literally come grab
pick
that
up the vehicle. They have
heap that's in the backyard.
They notarize the title. They give you a tax receipt for $500, and if the vehicle sells for more, they'll send you an updated tax receipt for the value of the vehicle. So, and they will take anything. It doesn't have to run. A boat, a camper, motorcycle.
It's a huge program. We had 10 donations in August alone.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of business CEOs that listen here. Again, Mary Timoshenko.
Yep. Corporate
Reach out to
support.
Mary.
I mean, is it? How expensive is that? It's like $300 a month or something. Can you do something for that?
Depends on what you want. Radio, TV. I mean, we can tailor any package to your budget. So.
Yeah. I mean, again.
Yeah.
There's always, of course, we sell ads too.
Right.
But honestly, there's folks out there. It's one of those things that maybe it's not top of mind, and now it is.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
Maybe a little talking to board members at the Gaming Revenue Authority. I'm just saying. That's my editorial comment.
Hey,
nothing's off the table.
Nothing
Right?
is off the table for sure. And we have had many community partners reach out and say, what can I do? Can I, there's a little space. Can you use that? Or can we partner on this? Joycelyn Taylor does a fantastic job with our partnerships, many of which we get to work side by side. Joel, I love that.
Yeah.
And in the community. And so far, the community has been quite generous in giving back. We are still climbing an uphill battle. So if there's additional corporate support, if someone's out there and owns their own business and wants to talk further about some kind of sponsorship, obviously we would love to talk to them, because we know that there are business leaders who support public media and what we do.
Yeah. We'll leave it there. Cindy Spizarny, Allison Amendola, WQLN. Ladies, thank you for taking the time and giving us the update.
Thank
Our
you so
pleasure.
much.
Thanks, Joel. Thanks, Shani.
You got it. It is 5 minutes in front of 5 o'clock.